Alright, so the first thing we want to do here is place our two control horn features. So the water rudder control horn again is going to be the head of this T-pin. I'm just going to make it as flat as I can. And then the control horn for the air rudder, for the airplane rudder here, is shaped roughly like this, and it's mounted at the very bottom here of the rudder and tilted down and slightly forward, sort of like this. And that's so that the line will clear this lower rigging line to the support structure for the horizontal stabilizer. Clear that and run parallel to and along the bottom of the fuselage to the first pulley on this side, on the non-water rudder side of the airplane. So the first thing we want to do is place both of these. So we'll drill out the hole for the T-pin here, about an 1/8 inch from the end of the pontoon and straight down. Into the float. And we'll just want to hog that out a little bit. We want the T-pin section to drop in there easily. A little bit of friction is okay, but we really want to be able to seat it where we want it and not have it sitting on top. About like that, maybe a little bit lower. Yeah, not that low. Okay, so we're just gonna take it out and drop it back in with a bead of white glue on it. The white glue will set up enough and tighten it up enough that it'll stay. Super glue, if I put a drop of super glue on it, it may set up before I get the pin down where I want it. So that's why we're using the white glue here. It gives us time to situate the pin. Also creates a little bit of a collar. If you see that, it creates a little bit of a collar around the base of the T-pin, which is okay for scale realism. Alright, so right about there. And then we're going to place the air rudder control horn. Again, that's just this small piece of piano wire that I bent to this shape. And again, that goes right here near the bottom of the rudder. Drill a slightly oversized hole here because the bends have to be able to fit through there. At least one of those two bends has to be able to fit through the rudder. If we drill the hole precisely to the wire, we're not going to be able to fit it through there without possibly doing damage to the rudder, splitting it or something. In this case I am using super glue, but I'm just putting it right in the center where I want it to take hold and cure. So we want to make sure it's straight and that it's got that slightly forward cant to it. And of course we want to make sure it's centered. So there it is, about even with the bottom of the fuselage. And that's okay because our first pulley is going to be extended more or less downward here, not out of the side, but more out of the bottom. And that's to make sure that the line clears and runs along the bottom line, bottom edge here. Right? So we have placed our two rudder control horns. That's step one. And step two will be placing all of our pulleys. We'll use our drawing for reference. We'll use our images from the internet, research photographs, to tell us where the pulleys are situated. Now in some of these, what I saw was on the non-water rudder side was a pulley about here, and then the line strung across at a diagonal to a pulley in front of the water rudder. And then in other images, the line is routed to the first pulley here, a second pulley here, a third pulley directly across from that, parallel and on the rudder side float, and then the line was run back to the water rudder. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it down here. Let me think. And go across and not do the diagonal run. Let me think of how I'm going to do this. We're routed this way. Yeah, see, that doesn't round it underneath. Well, it could work. Let me think about this for a second. Yeah, I'm going to run it across in parallel, right behind the rear crossbar. Yeah, that's what we'll do. So the placement of this one is going to be roughly here. The second pulley will be roughly here. We'll run straight across to here, and then back through our eyelet here and to our water rudder here. I think that's how we'll run the first one here, the first series. I don't know how this looks. Let me see. Yeah, you guys should be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so next step is to create a hole for this, roughly there. Come a little closer, I guess. Oh, the bottom of the airplane. See why we don't want to pre-drill this. We really need to see and kind of visualize what we're going to be looking like here. And the only way to do that is to wait and see. Wait until we have something to visualize. And you can only really do that when you've got the airplane pretty far along through the assembly phase. And now in this case I'll paint it up and alright, so there's that pulley. Yeah, that's good. And then we want to be down under the float here. Now this is going to be tricky. I'll have to remove this. Should be able to get under there, yeah. So here we're going to be right about here. In fact, we're going to be right here. Oops, get that in and drop in our second pulley. A drop of our super glue. Use the, I should probably use tweezers actually, not pliers. There we go. Alright, we'll drop this one in right there. Get in there, buddy. There. A little too low. There. Hopefully that's still adhering. Okay. And we come across here. Drop in another one. Life is good, yeah? Straight across. Let's take a look at that visually. So, right at the... We'll use the non-skid pads as a reference. We're just about a 1/16 of an inch in front of this pad. Drop in our third pulley. Right there. Drop a glue on the end of the pin. And run it in. I want it sticking up just a bit, so I have enough room to run the line under it and wrap it one time. There we go. So from there, it's going to run back through the tubing, a little section of tubing. Again, we're going to cut this off at maybe 1/8 of an inch and glue it on right about there and run the lines through that and then up to the rudder control horn. So let's cut that free now. I'm going to clean that up real good. We don't want it cutting through the thread that we're using for control line. Here, I've got a series of these fine files, jeweler's files, I don't know what they call them. And we just clean up the inside especially. And we'll file down the outside of the ring. Oops, wrong tool. There we go. Sometimes I get a little close to the airplane with my artillery. I got to be careful of that. Again, I work in this kind of cramped quarters. I've gotten used to it, but it's not without its perils. So I want to get this as clean and smooth as I can. The fan is blowing the airplane around. It's another hot day here. Beautiful hot day. No humidity. That's good. Uh-oh. Now here we are. Okay, we'll just clean it out on the interior one more time, just to make sure we're smooth. Okay, I could even, no, we'll just leave it like this. I was thinking I might cut it in half, create a sort of a half moon shape, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it around. It'll stick on there good enough. A nice bead of super glue would be alright. So that's next. No, that's dry. Okay, here we go. There. And you want this centered in front of the rudder control arm and set back, I guess, just enough something like that. There you go. See that? And that really needs to dry. So what I can do now is work on the pulleys on this side, get those positioned. It just needs 2 pulleys here, and we'll try to keep it parallel to the other side. It's best if the lines are symmetrical to each other, I think. They don't have to be perfectly aligned with each other, but you know, some symmetry is good. So this one will go roughly here. I don't know if you can see right about there. There's a little blemish on the fuselage there. Good spot for the pulley. And then it'll come down inside of this one, I think, just inside of it, and probably a little bit forward of it, I think. Actually, it probably should be to the outside of it, now that I think about it. Yeah, I'll probably put one inside of that and use that one for this side, and then that's what we'll do. Okay, let's drill right here.